Electric Convenience Cooperative, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative, supporting the communities we serve.
WTIM.
You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and as the weather warms up, hopefully a little more consistently than it has been, it's time to think about 4-H events going on that are happening over at the University of Illinois Extension. And here to talk about those events and much more is Taylor Sinclair, the 4-H Youth Program Coordinator with the University of Illinois Extension. Taylor, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving this beautiful weather outside.
Yes. Well, the weather today, and then we're going to hope that stays a little more consistent than it has been in recent days. So like I was alluding to earlier, those events are beginning to take shape and start to happen a little bit more frequently. And coming up, let's see, it looks like we've got a horse showmanship workshop. What can you tell us, Taylor, about that?
Yeah, so this is a horse-focused project area workshop. The judge last year, she had mentioned, she's like, I'm more than happy to kind of offer something for the kids to kind of help grow their skills in something like this. And so we kind of like jumped on the opportunity. So we have this horse showmanship workshop. It's going to be in Girard. You do have to be a 4-H member to attend. But they're going to be able to go kind of learn some certain skills about their horses, and for showtime, just be extra prepared for whenever show season does get here. And they don't even have to bring their animals. All they have to do is show up and the horses will be there.
Okay, so they'll have the horses there, and then when's this one taking place? If you did not mention it already.
Yeah, this is on March 28th. That is a Saturday. It is going to be from 10 to 11:30, and it's just there in Girard. You do have to be registered to be able to attend it, and then you do need to be a 4-H member to attend it also.
Okay, so you got those details in there. And now I don't know a whole lot about horse shows or any of that outside of the equestrian sport that happens at the Olympics. So, it seems like there are a lot of particulars about how it's presented at the shows. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, there's a lot more work. I didn't grow up with horses or in the horse show world either. So I myself don't know very much about it. But with there being so many kids that are kind of in it, and we had a big growth, like a big jump this year in some horse families that decided to join 4-H this year. And so we kind of thought that this would be a really good workshop to be able to kind of like help prepare them for whenever like the show season does get here in June. And then they're kind of ready to go. And maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable on their horse when they are showing.
All right. So, and they'll learn about that at the horse showmanship workshop. And if folks are interested and fit the bill for taking part, how can they register?
So they can go onto our website, the U of I Extension website for CJMM, Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery. And they can register for the workshop there.
Funny enough, it actually took me until now to realize that that's what CJMM stood for. Did not think about that till right now. So glad you clarified that. And as part of registration for the Horse Showmanship Workshop, the CJMM Horse Showmanship Workshop coming up near the end of this month. Let's move on to another event you've got coming up in terms of canning. Can That Strawberry Jam. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah, so this one is on April 2nd. It is going to be from 9 to 11, and it is going to be in Morrisonville at the First Baptist Church. The cost for this workshop is $5, and this is like right about during where a lot of the schools are kind of starting their spring break. So I thought this would be a really good opportunity to keep the kids busy while parents are at work. And just kind of take up their time and maybe even refresh their brains a little bit if they have canned before, or if they haven't, it can be some experience, and maybe they'll get to can some in the summertime.
Nice. And I would think it's a valuable thing to know, right? Because, even if someone takes part in this and doesn't specifically get into canning, specifically in the future, right? Then they still like have some other skills that they've developed in terms of working with food and that sort of thing. Does that sound right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this one too is one of those workshops that you do not have to be a 4-H member to attend it. As if you just have an interest in canning and you kind of want to learn some more, this is one of those opportunities to take advantage of because you don't have to be a 4-H member for this one.
Oh,
And maybe it'll spark some interest, and maybe they'll even be interested in trying to show something like this at the 4-H fair.
yeah, it
If
could well be. So, and then I guess I'm interested in that during events where you don't have to be a 4-H member. I mean, do you see like a pretty increased turnout thanks to that particular specification?
Honestly, yeah, it just kind of depends on the workshop. I feel like a lot of times, honestly, I have a lot of kids that are not in 4-H that are kind of coming in, like checking out some of the workshop. It really just kind of depends on the day. It just varies sometimes. But yeah,
All right. So the can that strawberry jam class, you said April 2nd, in the morning there, 9 to 11,
yeah,
and you said that was in Morrisonville.
yes, at the First Baptist Church there in Morrisonville.
Okay, and I think you did actually mention that earlier. So you've got that event coming up as well, and then let's see, another big event coming up on your calendar. This one's interesting: 4-H Agriculture Career Exploration Trip. Now, this sounds fascinating, as folks will be, trying to think about what they want to do after high school. What do you have to share about this one?
Yeah, so this is one of those really good ones. We try to do like 2 or 3 of these a year. It just kind of depends. Try and do like one in the summertime, one in the spring, and then maybe one in the fall if there's like we have the capacity for it. But this one is going to start with Corteva AgriScience. They're in Litchfield. And then we also have WorkSaver, that's also in Litchfield. We're going to kind of get to do a tour of both of the plants and just kind of get to grow our knowledge and see what kind of opportunities could be provided and shared with some of the kids. Now, for this one, you do have to be a 4-H member to be able to attend, and then it's for ages 13 and older.
Okay, so 13 and older, and I always think that, I did this before when I was that age, although not in this industry, like going to these places where they have all this fascinating technology and all of that, and they're making obviously very important implements and other things. It's and I don't know. I always thought it seemed fascinating, and it seems like something that the folks who take part in this will feel the same way about.
Yeah, I think it's really important, honestly, to just kind of know all the different like careers and jobs that are out there because I feel like there's so much that so many get overlooked. So it's really nice being able to get these tours and see what opportunities are available to us. It grows our knowledge and it shows us that there's a lot more here instead of like like pushing kids to kind of like leave where they are locally. There are jobs locally that they're able to find. Sometimes they just kind of get overlooked.
And it seems like now they'll get the opportunity to see something like this, and I feel like it also shows kind of the well-rounded nature of like the agriculture industry and the industry, when it comes to employment. In
Yeah,
that, and
absolutely.
yeah, you were saying, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's so many. It's so easy for a lot of the ag careers to kind of get overlooked to see what's available to us. So we really kind of like to like spotlight some of those because they're very easily just overlooked anymore.
Exactly, and that's something that happens with this. So this career exploration trip, and I think what were the dates and times again?
This is on April 6th, so this is the day after Easter, and then it's going to be from 9 to noon. All schools are kind of out for this, so it works out really good. And then it's going to be there in Litchfield at Corteva is where we're going to start. We'll be there till probably about 10, and then we'll kind of head over to WorkSaver afterwards, and then get a tour of their plant and kind of like look around.
Okay, so that's on April 6th. So do schools generally have Easter Monday off?
I think so. I think it just kind of depends on the school and what their schedules are, truthfully.
new to me, I guess, but there you go. And then that might help work out for this, the 4-H agriculture career exploration trip being put on by the University of Illinois Extension. I'm talking with Taylor Sinclair, 4-H youth program coordinator with the Unity of Illinois Extension. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some other exciting things going on with the Extension and their 4-H involvements here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat all higher at this hour. May corn up 4 3/4, 468. July corn up 478.5, and December new crop 493.5, up 3 3/4. May beans 1162.5, up 3/4. July beans up 1 1/4, 1177 3/4, and new crop November 1146.5, up a nickel. May Chicago wheat 606 3/4, up 2 1/2. May KC wheat down 2 pennies, 6.24. May bean meal 331.80, up 10.10. May bean oil down 8 cents, 65.45. Livestock trade March feeders 357.05, down $1.67. April live cattle down to $1.72, 233.67. April lean hogs 93.02, down 72 cents. Energy market May Brent crude oil up 390, 111.28. RFD Radio Network.
Tornado baseball and softball, plus playoff games are on New Country 104.1 this spring. Tune in or listen to the live audio stream of select baseball and softball games, plus playoffs of both teams. Brought to you by
the Taylorville Community Credit Union, the Christian County YMCA, Rural Rentals, and Scooters Coffee.
The purple and gold are coming your way. The Taylorville Tornadoes are going to do it today.
Hi, I'm Drew Peabody with First National Bank on Spresser, and I've got great news for future homeowners. Through the Federal Home Loan Bank's Down Payment Plus program, qualified buyers may receive grant funds to help with their down payment and closing costs. That means less out of pocket and a faster path to owning your home. If rising upfront costs have been holding you back, this program could make all the difference. Give me a call today at 287-2003. Let's open the door to your new home together. First National Bank on Spresser, the quality bank. Equal housing lender.
Nicole Patrick here, your local country financial representative at 1305 West Bresser in Taylorville. I'm proud to recognize the Lady Tornado student athletes that represent our community by being the exclusive sponsor of the ILSportswire.com Taylorville Lady Tornadoes Player of the Game this school year. At the end of each game, a Lady Tornado will be selected to receive a certificate for being named our Player of the Game, and they'll be featured in a highlighted reel on the ILSportswire.com social media platforms. Best of luck to all the girls teams this season, and go Lady Tornadoes!
Finding the right employees can be a real challenge these days, whether you're hiring full-time or part-time. That's where the regional radio stations come in. We're here to help you connect with the qualified candidates you need. Check out IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. It's part of our comprehensive radio and internet employment campaign designed to get your job openings noticed. For details, just reach out to your account manager. Put the power of radio and the internet to work for you at IllinoisJobPost.com.
WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm Reed Kamai, and I'm speaking on the phone with Taylor Sinclair, 4-H Youth Program Coordinator with the University of Illinois Extension. We spent the first segment talking about some of the exciting events they have coming up, and there's plenty else going on as well, including a project enrollment deadline. And Taylor, what do you have to share about that?
Yeah, so this is kind of a big point because fair season's right around the corner. So any new members that are kind of wanting to get into 4-H, the last day for them to kind of get enrolled to be able to show at the 4-H fair this year is April 15th. With comes that deadline, updating your projects, sharing with us what you're wanting to be showing at the fair, whatever is in there by April 15th. Those are what you are eligible to be able to show this year at the 4-H fair. Yeah.
Okay, so and then how, in what way is that sort of delivered to you folks? Do you bring in the physical artifacts? Is or do you like fill out a form online? How does that go?
So that is all online through Z Suite. If anyone's interested, they're more than welcome to kind of give our office a call, and then we will kind of reach out, share some information. We have like a little booklet to help them like walk through like enrolling in the program, and things like that. So that way they can kind of get signed up and be ready to go by fair season.
Okay, so a long process ahead of the fairs with all of that coming up in the summer.
Yeah.
I must say I'm actually quite excited about it already. So April 15th, that deadline for putting in those projects. Speaking of projects, I understand you folks are going to be doing a community service project, and I'd love to learn more about that.
Yes, so we just kind of like planned this one. So this one it's a community service project, and we're calling it Kindness Rocks. I don't know if you've ever seen like sometimes you can find like the rocks in like communities, and they'll have like strengths, words written on them that are just kind of like meant to kind of like inspire people, or sometimes it just someone could be having a bad day and they find a rock that just you're beautiful, things like that on them, and it just kind of like brightens someone's day. So basically, the kids are going to come in, they're going to get to paint their rocks, and we're going to send them home with the rocks that they painted, and then they get to kind of disperse and put them in their community to just kind of spread some kindness.
I love that. I think this was a couple years ago on some nature trail. This is obviously not around here, but I saw some. I saw some rocks that had paintings on them. I don't know if they had messages, but they were really beautifully painted, like within the nature trails, and then you would just sort of happen upon them if you're walking through the trails. So is that the plan to like put them there or in like more like spaces within town? What would that look like?
Yeah, so it's completely up to the kids. The kids can put their rocks wherever they kind of feel like it, whether it's at a park or maybe it's outside of a restaurant, anything like that. It's completely open to whatever they want, wherever they feel like maybe someone, where they're going to cross, somehow it'll cross a path with someone that just needed to hear something like that.
That is really lovely. So the kindness rocks, and then when is this starting, or when has it started? If that's the case.
So this hasn't started yet. This will start this month. It'll get posted probably, hopefully, by the end of this week, as we just kind of like planned and did this yesterday. But the Christian Day for the community service, I believe, is the April 25th. It's a Saturday. And then I believe it'll start at 1, kind of going off the top of my head. Like I said, we haven't created any of this stuff. We just kind of planned this yesterday, but I just kind of felt like I wanted to share the opportunity out.
That is an incredible opportunity to share, and I'm glad you did here on the WTIM morning show. So you've got the community service project coming up, and I'm actually glad I mentioned that nature trail thing earlier because it sounds like you folks are starting a hiking club for folks. What do you have to share about that as we approach 90 seconds to go?
Yeah, so this is really exciting. So we are doing a unit hiking club within our unit. So Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, Montgomery. A state park or a walking trail where you can go and walk. There's going to be 4 locations. The dates will be posted kind of on the website, but they'll be able to walk around. They'll meet at these parks, and then there'll be someone there to talk about the park, share some just like unique features, things like that about the park, just to kind of help share their knowledge and also be able to see what kind of like things are locally. Because we do have like sanctuaries and parks and things like that around us, and sometimes we just kind of forget they exist.
Yeah, so you'll have the opportunity to explore that with the hiking club, and I'll be curious to see how that goes. I do love me some nature. All right, into the final minute. I'd love for you to quickly share about this science camp that you were talking to me about earlier.
Yes, this is kind of one of my favorite events. They've been doing these science camps for like every single year for quite a while, but they're such a blast. These are kind of a hit. They absolutely they fill up so fast. It's super fun. The kids enjoy it. It just makes science fun because I feel like some of us science can be intimidating.
Yeah.
But if you bring like the fun into it, it helps kids like learn to enjoy it, and it just makes it less intimidating for kids.
Oh, that's right. Taylor Sinclair, 4-H Youth Program Coordinator with the University of Illinois Extension. We're out of time. Taylor, thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville.
96.1 FM Taylorville.
107.5 FM Shelbyville.
107.9 FM Helena Comas.
Breaking news this hour from